Owens. That is Samoa Joe, and that is whomever has decided to take up arms.
But recently I moved up to upstate.
Oh, that's right, okay. I'll stop asking questions now. I feel like I'm like the den mother. I like to, I'm the new one. I got to try and know what's going on.
Oh, that's fine.
Hi, Den Mom.
You sound like you said, hi, dead mom. I'm like, this just took a...
this just took an awful turn.
This is going to be a big therapy session.
Yeah, you guys are having an intervention for me. This isn't even a Giants fucking podcast.
Yeah. No. All right. So I am going. We are live, which is always funny. But hold on. Let's get a little intro going. We'll do a whole thing. I think James is playing MIA at the moment, and let's see. Here we go.
Four hosts, they bout to wreck shit like Marco. Addicted to the Giants like it's Netflix and Narcos. The CEO making big moves as per usual. Captain Negative calling everybody delusional. This podcast is number one. Like when you take a piss, so share the link and pass it. Like Major making splits and Mr. Make-A-Wish. The sophisticated click. I spit offensive lines, now Tim can take a sip of some beer. Because he likes the taste of it, right? Don't forget the New York Giants beat the Patriots twice. The sickest dudes, eating chips and salsa like it's Victor Cruz. Win or lose, always gonna root for Big Blue. It's true. This a classic show. Tyree, catch it, bro. Play a drinking game while you listen and call it Claxico. Take a couple shots. If it's funny, you can rewind. To bleed blue means it's in their jeans like Levi's. Eli, man in the shit, just like a sailor. Captain, we attacking bum rush like Lawrence Taylor. Podcast on point, the sharp as arrows. BBG, stay gritty like Mark Bavaro.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Marco. As you heard from the song, it is another podcast. I am here with Tim, who's already on the line, and we have our returning, newly appointed, I'm guessing, co-host Will Presti.
What's going on,
gentlemen? We have a lot of moving and shaking going on in Giants world, as we've seen on Twitter. We fired Joe Judge, and everyone is going absolutely bonkers. And I don't think it's because it's Joe Judge. I just think because what we're led up to believe and what actually happened is two totally different things.
Yeah, I mean, Marco, I got to say, first of all, I didn't realize you could rap like that up at the top of the show, so that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was freestyle right off the top. That
was freestyle off the top. And it ended with
but...
Mark Bavaro. After last night, I told you my first words were Mavo Bavo. So this is all coming together for me.
Full circle. The comments are coming in. Are we allowed to call in? Yes, you are allowed to call in. The call-in number is 516-453-9383. But give me a little bit before I start picking up all the phone calls and stuff like that. So, gentlemen, Tim, what's the take? What's your first take? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna tell you right now. As far as I go, it took me a step back because honestly, Joe Judge was the last one I would even think was gonna get the job out of all the candidates that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But then, after you get pissed off, you gotta start doing some research. He's a Belichick guy and a Saban guy, so that's a good thing. And he's been under Belichick for like 10 years, so it's not like he's like a newly appointed assistant or anything. And he's become, well recommended. My big thing is I want to see what staff he brings in. before I start making some judgments. But as far as losing out on Rule, he just got outpaid. We didn't want to give him a new head coach a 7-year deal for $70 million or whatever. I don't blame the Maras for being like, nah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina was going to give him everything, and that's the richest owner in the league. And I told you guys last night, if he meets with the richest owner in the league, there's a good chance that he might not leave.
This is true. Will, your spin?
So so as far as Rule goes, and Marco knows this, you look at transcripts, I wasn't a big fan in the beginning. But again, I did some research, started liking him more and more. Personally, McCarthy was my number one choice from the beginning, but obviously that didn't happen. And the worst thing could possibly happen is he went to Dallas. But
right.
Shit happens. So we're gonna deal with it. Obviously, we have the least prestigious coach in the division, but that could be a good thing. I think the guy's only 38.
Yeah,
he's
younger than Eli. Yeah, something like that.
So you know what? The young coaches is playing nowadays, and let's see what he brings in. He could do the same thing they did. He could bring in Wade Phillips right now, if you really wanted to.
Right. Will, what do you think?
Well, it kind of hit me like a punch in the gut, to be honest. I was actually in work, and there was a meeting. I went into the meeting pretty sure the Giants were going to get my boy Ja Rule, and then in the middle of the meeting, we got like a TV out in the corner, and I'm seeing that Rule is a Panther, and then all of a sudden, someone in a long meeting about an hour later, a Patriots fan who always busts balls in the office is like, yo, you guys just signed our special teams coordinator. And I was like, yeah, right, haha, very funny. And he's like, no, for real. And I'm like, you mean offense? And then I realized he was being serious. I'm like, no, like, you mean offensive coordinator? And he's like, no, special teams coordinator. And he just like leaves the room. And I'm like, who? So, look, with these coaches, how do I feel right now? Honestly, I'm completely neutral. It's a little embarrassing at the moment when you realize that McCarthy didn't want to come to the Giants, when you realize that, Rule, I guess, there's conflicting stories about Rule. Most people, I guess, are saying that he did call the Giants and say, hey, here's the offer I got. If you match it, I'm on a plane, I'm yours. And the Giants didn't want to do it. You could debate the finances of it or whatever, whether a guy who's never been in the pros deserves that kind of money. Look, they say this guy killed it in the interview. I'm always skeptical about things like that because I think, I don't know. Charles Manson could put a suit on and kill it in an interview for a couple minutes. I mean, like, I feel like, I don't know how much. I feel like you can, what does that mean? Like, oh man, this guy was really articulate. Like, I just don't know what that means. But I'm kind of hopeful because in this weird way, because Jones is young, because Saquon's young, because it's like this rebuilding thing, and this isn't really like me. I'm usually more of like a conservative guy, but there's something kind of exciting about the prospect of if this guy could be a young, good coach for a while. That would be really exciting. They all have to start somewhere. All these coaches started, Belichick started off as a special teams coordinator. But it's just a huge risk. It's a bit of a crapshoot. So, I'm a little embarrassed by it. It's kind of become like a Giants, like, laughing stock type thing. Who's Joe? I had Jet fans in my office making fun of me today, and they have Adam Gase, okay? So it's like, but the happiest people in the world.
How far are we fallen?
Well, it's true, and the happiest people in the world. The happiest people in the world have to be the New York sports writers, because they thought they were getting Rule, and they're like, oh, we could do puns for years with the name Rule, and then they find out they're not getting Rule, and they're like, oh, this sucks.
Right.
So what are we going to do if we get like a Smith? or McDaniels, and then they find out, oh, wait a minute, his name is Judge. We can do things like that forever. So there's going to be a lot of Judgment Days. All the Aaron Judge headlines will be recycled for this guy. But I guess overall, how am I feeling right now? I'm kind of more shocked than anything, and I'm trying to kind of be hopeful. But it's funny, he's such an unknown that even the footage they were trying to show him on TV, it wasn't even really him. It was the back of his head. There was grainy pictures of him online, he's Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. It's who is this guy?
Yeah, it's funny the Patriots don't have good footage of him, who's their actual coach. But any other coach in the NFL, they have plenty of material on.
The Bengals, Bengals coaches, they have all sorts of footage of those guys.
Yeah. So
but you know what? I gotta correct you on one thing.
What up?
He is also the wide receivers coach as well.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. So that right there.
He's working double duty.
Pay the man.
So since you said that he killed the interview, I thought it would be fun if we play a little game. Are you guys down for a little game?
I'm gonna give. Is it involved drinking?
We can have drinks. I'm gonna give you the quote from John Mara, and you tell me which coach it is that he's talking about right after hiring. Are we ready?
Well, who would the choice?
Go
How
ahead.
far back are we going? What do you mean?
Oh, any one of his hires: Coughlin, McAdoo, Pat Shermer,
Okay.
or a newly appointed.
I do want to say one thing before we start this game.
Yeah.
First of all, is there anybody that they're going to be like, you know what? His interview wasn't that great, but I liked his resume. I mean, his references were great, but you know what? Interview was just
or his resume, he totally lied, but everything else was A-okay.
Yes. We did background check. Belichick doesn't even know who he is.
All right, so the first one, ready? We wanted to find someone who had intelligence, the determination, and the work ethic and leadership skills to be a successful head coach in the National Football League. We believe in blank. This is an exciting day for us. This begins a new era of Giants football. John Mara said that about who, Tim?
Pat Shermer.
Tim?
I think it's.
Yes. Will?
I think it's Ben McAdoo.
Will, you are correct. And Tim, you get the you get the old buzzer.
That's got buzzers. It's crazy.
All right, the next one is he's going to bring us intensity and focus and the commitment to winning that we need and want. We stay true to the process, and we felt we could produce the kind of head coach we need, and we did. Who do we think this is? Well, Will, since you went first.
This one. What are you doing?
He said Ray Handley. He gets the buzzer. He said Ray Handley.
Oh God! Remember Ray Must Go. I'm gonna say I was thinking Coughlin until you said we stay true to the process. I don't know. I'm gonna go Coughlin for some reason. I think it might be the guy from today. But go ahead. Yeah.
We got a ringer, and everyone in the comments, you're all off. Everyone's getting that off.
And I just want to put it out there. You know what? Fossil was a good coach.
Well,
yeah.
He was.
I like
Fossil. Wait, hold up.
Right.
I can't see these comments right now, right?
No.
No, all right. I'm in the dark here.
You're in the
they talk shit about us all the time.
That's
We
all
act
good.
like we don't know it.
You haven't achieved that level to see the comments yet.
That's all good. Hey, I got a quote for you. This is from today's interview with Judge. He had me at hello. That's what Mara said about him. He said, "You make me want to be a better owner." It was just a love fest. Yeah, it was just.
I
really,
just want to know what's the timeline of this interview. Was it Like, did they get off the phone with Rule and was like they're in like breakup mode?
It's
They're like,
I
oh,
think
no.
it was just they wanted
what's
it.
it like? Oh, no, we're not matching that. And then Joe comes in the door, and they're like, "Oh, your interview is amazing."
Yeah, Rule was like, "Here's what it's going to cost you." The Maras were like, "Hell to the
What?
no," and
Right.
then they were like, Judge walked in. He's like, "Is this the right office?" They were like, "You're hired." So
we already had a contract ready, so here you go. Just sign.
he's like, it says Matt Rule on it. They're like, "Yeah, don't worry about that." They crossed it out.
Well, we got white out right here. We're good.
Where's my whiteout? Where's my whiteout?
Oh man, it's weird, man. Joe Judge.
I think because it was so close to, literally so close to like Matt Rule saying, like being announced or like the tweet being sent out, that I was like, what's the chances that this guy's wrong and this is like? But I was like, oh my god.
No, it's very much. It was like a high school. It was like a high school breakup thing. Like, oh, you don't like me? Well, I just kissed Nancy in the corner anyway. It's like, wait, what? Like, it seems petty.
They wanted to put out the rumors. They're like, listen, I already signed Joe, so
yeah,
it wasn't about you.
It was the strangest. And what? By the way, I want to ask you guys: do you think this is like in all seriousness, has this kind of been like a new trend? I don't remember it happening, like day of interview in the morning, being announced. Oh, we just got off. The guy just walked out the door, and the job is his. Like, I feel like this stuff used to take a lot longer. You'd interview the candidates. You'd wait a couple of days, right? I mean, this is. Am I right?
Well, the thing is, the media's got to be on top of everything now. It used to be like, okay, we can wait a couple of days before the press conference comes out, and it's a quote official.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there was a lot of handshake deals back then.
Though. Even just the decision-making process, to have an interview with a guy and a few hours later be like, that's it, or like to have Rule head to Carolina and hit up the Giants like, hey, I'm going to go with them unless you want me. Like, what is that? Like, usually you see all your options, I don't want to bring up the dating thing. My girlfriend's right next to me, but see your options.
Well,
no.
So here's the thing, though. And tell me if you guys thought the same thing. When the list came out of all the coaching candidates, and you went down, and Joe Judge was like one of the last ones.
Right.
I honestly was like, and this guy is how racist as hell, but I thought Joe Judge was getting an interview because of the Rooney Rule, because I was like, but we already interviewed Eric Bieniemy and Chris Richards. Why are you throwing Joe Judge in there?
Oh,
I had to look up. I didn't know he was white or black or anything like that. I had to look it up because I was like, I didn't understand why Joe Judge was on the interview list.
I think my favorite is like Giants interview Mike McCarthy, right? And it's like this whole, like, from their official website, this whole like paragraph of Mike McCarthy, what he did and like his accomplishments, and we really loved the interview and that. And then it's like Giants interview Joe Judge, and then like the byline was, the whole copy was Giants interview Joe Judge. I was like, what the hell? I guess like a sentence, not even. How are we gonna find? We have no idea what's going on with him.
Well, first of all,
and by the way, did you guys see Rex Ryan and what he said about McCarthy?
No.
Rex Ryan was just shitting all over McCarthy and how Dallas had a horrible hire, and he's just an okay coach. I'm like, damn, what did McCarthy do to Rex? I figured McCarthy had a little respect.
Let me say, first of all, I want to say publicly that I do not condone the Rooney Rule comment made earlier by Tim that in no way reflects me or my thought process. I will say I've been in this game long enough to know that I'm saying that statement. But let me say this: I did not know. Typical North Carolina guy. No, I'm kidding.
Now do you really want to be on the show, Will?
It's all good, man. No, but listen, I didn't know who Joe Judge was until he was hired. I had to see it, and they were showing the Patriots footage, and there was like 5 guys on the screen, and I was like trying to pick which one it was. And I seriously, and then I saw the one picture of him where, I don't know, he looks like one of those actors from like Law and Order SVU or CSI or something. I don't know, but who the hell knows? I was talking last night about the coaches and what did I say? I said I didn't like guys who hadn't really proven themselves but came from big time organizations, and that we talked about the enemy being Chiefs offensive coordinator, and I was like, those guys are. It's like, calling them good coaches is like, what I say, calling Secretariat's jockey fast, right? It's such a good team that coach doesn't have to do much. And that's kind of how I felt about McCarthy, too, where you got, Rodgers, and I think, McCarthy and Dungy were two guys who basically could just sit back and let their quarterbacks do all the work, and Peyton Manning and Rodgers. But the reason I'm saying that is because with this hire, it's the Patriots, but, he's so inexperienced in a major role. He's never even been a coordinator there's just nothing to judge this guy based on. It's there's no way you could say, well, if you look at it this way, it's okay, supposedly people within the organization or whatever organization he's been with have always liked him and spoken highly. And there is something to be said for that. If I asked you, wait, what's the deal with this guy? And you were close with him and you said, oh, he's a really good dude. There's something to be said, but we really can speculate all we want. What it comes down to is, can he deal with management? Can he command the team? And is he going to be smart? Because you see more and more bonehead calls coming from, coaches now and, going for it where they shouldn't, vice versa. Time clock management's been a problem since going back to Coughlin to McAdoo to Shermer. So, we can speculate all we want. He looks like maybe a kind of a big guy, like an imposing guy, which might sound stupid, but I just know in my life playing sports, that stuff can kind of, help convey some power or whatever. And, I was talking last night. What was I saying about how Rule, his voice made me nervous because he has kind of a high voice, and I didn't think he could command an NFL locker room with a high voice. But this is how sad it is.
High pitch.
Look, let me just realize what I'm saying, and if people are ripping on me in the comments right now, I understand, because think about what's happening. We know so little about this coach that I'm saying whether or not he'll be a good coach based on how big he is and what I think his voice might sound like. It's like those shows on Discovery Channel where they're like, this is what a T-Rex might have sounded like. I'm literally going by sound at this point.
All right,
what, guys?
Let's
the way
clear
he
up
was,
the rumor.
the way he, yeah.
Let me clear up
where
the rumor
where
mill
he
for
was
a second.
listed. Oh, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
All right, so Pito Carrera wants to know, is it true that the Giants will be signing Steve Belichick as the defensive coordinator? No, that is all bullshit. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, even if I retweet it. Let's see. Is it true that Joe Judge?
It's a possibility. You don't know.
Stan Jones, is it true that Joe Judge had an altercation with either a fan or a player while his time at Mississippi State, and either punched them or punched the person that punched the person over a team bench? That I saw was to be true.
Yep.
That is true.
I like
That's
it.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he might be a little bit feisty, so
So
that's
let's see Joe
right there.
get pissed off and throw one of our players over the bench.
Yeah,
I don't think that was Mississippi
hopefully.
State, though. I think that was in New England, right?
No, it was in Mississippi State.
Ah, I saw a Rappaport tweet about it. I didn't know if it was
in New England he threw a guy into a vat of clam chowder. That's what that was.
All right.
Don't laugh at that shit.
Well, our players have gotten thrown into vats of other shit from
dude. Here's how unknown this coach is. I am just now trying to type in Google to see if that story is true, and took me 10 seconds. I could not remember the hell his name is. I'm like, what's this guy's name?
Right,
continue.
Typing in, and I just had to make sure I was correct. I was like, who did we hire again? Hold on, wait a minute.
True story.
I just want him to have intro music, and it's like, here comes the judge.
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I have a dun sound effect somewhere. We might have to bring that out. Yeah, here it is.
Hey, but how come you didn't drop that when I mentioned Law and Order before? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, he's never on top of the board. He's not.
By the way, can we talk about the fact that they're going to be hiring Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator? Can we talk about that?
Is that actually official?
No, it's not official, but it's like it seems to be what everyone's kind of saying is likely to happen, which would be the most strange dynamic where you have an untenured 38-year-old coach with an extremely tenured former head coach of the most high-profile team in the entire league as your offensive coordinator. Most Giants fans I'm hearing from, even the Dallas haters, are kind of saying they'd be cool with that, whatever. And I guess the biggest issue would be, besides stomaching looking at Jason Garrett on the field and the Giants, colors, but it would be whether or not it's too much.
Technically, Jason Garrett was a former Giant.
Well, this is true. But it would be like, is it too much of a presence? Is it too much having a celebrity coach, if you will, working under the head coach? How is the head coach going to take that? I'm just going to call him the head coach because I keep forgetting his name. And I think if anyone could do it, maybe Garrett, because he kind of seems like the kind of guy who's not too intimidating. He might just sit there with his little clipboard and his headset and feel good about calling plays and not really getting Judge's way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you because honestly, I think I don't think it'd be a bad hire, and the fact that he would know a lot about Dallas that could help us out. And but I could just see Judge. Like, Jason Garrett's like, this is the way I used to do it. Judge rolling his eyes like, yeah, we know the way you used to do it. That's why you're sitting here.
And then Judge punches him in the face.
Yep.
What you say, Jason? Over the bench.
I don't know if the whole story is true because I saw Ralph Vacchiano tweet that was like the case, and then like 2 hours later he's like, correction, they requested to talk to Jason Garrett
about the
head coaching job, not a coordinator.
Oh, it's interesting. I'm reading right now, and it says here, well, this is from a few hours ago, but it says update: Garrett is not being considered for offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think
apparently he was going to be considered, and then he just heard us say he'd get punched in the head, and he declined to be a coach.
Right.
Well, Jason Garrett just moved out of Jerry Jones' house. He was like, I'm not leaving.
House in the back. He had a little doggy.
He's like, what do you have?
What do you have
to get a job around here?
Jason Garrett had squatters' rights. He was like, no, I'm just staying there. I'm staying here. And the fact that, how do you think Jason felt when he got? You want permission to have Jason as your head coach? Oh, Jerry's like, sure. He puts it on the speakerphone so Jason hears it. And then it's like, Giants call back, forget it, we're good.
Who do you think would wind up being a bigger salary buster? The combination of oh my God, I totally forgot his name. Oh, Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, or Rule? Who do you think would be more of a salary buster?
Oh, Rule's gonna kill this thing. Like, there's no way they're paying Joe Judge that kind of money. Anything close to what Rule got. Because Rule's got one of the biggest sports coaching contracts ever in any league.
Well, he right now per year is the 6th highest paid coach in the NFL, and he's never even coached in the NFL. It's ridiculous.
He was our offensive lineman for a year.
You're going Rule over Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator and Joe Judge as head coach combo. 2 versus 1. You're going in a handicap match. Yeah, right. Jason, we're going to sign you for $38. Can you just come here? Yeah, the final numbers was $60 million.
Jason just asking where his stapler is.
I can't even imagine. All right, you want to hit a phone line?
Jason, don't take my stapler.
Let's do it.
Ready? 609 Are you there? What's going on?
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
Lordy. Hello, what's going on?
I think you
What's
guys
your name?
remember me, Elijah?
What's up, Elijah?
Hey, what's
How
up,
are
Elijah?
you?
I think you guys remember me. Do you guys remember me?
Vaguely.
Oh.
I'm old. I forget things quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
It was 7
are you
months
the Green
ago,
Bay
when
fan?
we were talking about the draft.
Are you the Green Bay fan?
No, I'm a Giants fan.
Oh, you're a Giants fan. Are you the kid that's into PewDiePie?
Probably. Like, I think so. But
So, what's your question?
support you guys. So I'm thinking. So I thought Jason Garrett was going to be for our head coach for the Giants, but we all know Dallas decided to fire Jason Garrett. We all know that.
Right.
So usually now we just made a head coach. Now we just got a coach from New England. So now, for some reason, I don't know why he would have Jason Garrett not joining us, because Dallas just fired him. And I think New England fired another one, so we got a New England Patriot head coach.
So
that
Isaiah,
is correct. And
thank you for your comment. I'm going to get to the next caller. Best of luck in
call.
Fortnite.
I think what Isaiah said, I think what he's saying is like, yeah, right. We were talking about this last night. If he doesn't, if Jason Garrett didn't work for one team, why would we think he could work for another? I think you even mentioned that last night, right, Marco?
I take all my cues from the young 18-year-olds that are playing in, and he's 18, right?
Was that James they called him?
That was not James. Oh, man, this place. I'm going to hold off on the phone lines unless it's a number I recognize for a little bit.
This is fun.
That's fine.
Yeah, I know.
Don't hate on Elijah. He had a balls enough to call in.
I feel like
good. No, I feel like there's a little hostility coming here, and I'm going to have my finger on the trigger, so I'm going to drop,
Why did
I
was waiting for him to say something.
A few unmentionable words, maybe.
Oh, I was waiting for him to do that.
Yeah.
We had those kids the one time they kept on doing it.
Oh, my God.
That kid was like 6. Am I missing something?
Well, you don't know. Shit goes down on the show.
All right. It was a dangerous place to enter.
Is it? What, you guys have some... Well,
open mics and no delays.
Is someone getting killed in the background? What's going on over here?
Why? Are you hearing me?
No, it was like a bird or something.
No, I might have been outside. I live in Midtown. I got my window open, so probably a couple murders you're going to hear, so...
Oh, it's probably just a normal murder. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no big deal.
So, yeah, Jason.
So no more callers? That was it?
Phone lines are open. They're quiet at the moment, though. 516-453-9383.
But honestly, you know what? As far as I want to see what the judge brings in as far as the staff. In Richard or Rashad or whatever it's pronounced. If he's out there, I think we should grab him.
That's Dallas guy.
Dallas guy, but he also, Coach Seattle's the Legion of Doom too. Legion of Boom.
The Legion of Boom again. I mean, those guys were so damn talented. How much of that can you really put on the coach? I don't know. I mean, you think he'd bring toughness. You think he'd bring toughness, which is something I always want to have. And I mean, like with Shermer, I don't know. He might have been a tough guy. I know he played and everything, but he just, I need a little bit more fire than that. And I don't even know. I mean, did anybody ever hear this guy talk? Did we ever hear Judge actually? You ever see any footage of him doing anything? I mean, I heard a little bit today that, he's kind of quiet, but like when he was younger and coming up, and he was very much about knowing his role in New England and kind of get the team didn't even know he was really there, but like amongst his guys, he was very intense. And like once he got himself into a position of actually being, coordinator, his special teams unit, the wide receivers, that he's kind of a pretty intense guy, which I like to hear. And, it'll be interesting. I mean, how old was McAdoo?
I think he was young. I think he was maybe a year younger than.
Wasn't he like?
Yeah.
Wasn't he like 38 or something? I mean, he had I always said he had the mustache of a guy who was attracted to someone with his haircut, but that might be off color. He had like a little boy haircut, and he had a weird mustache. But yeah, he was. I guess he was around the same age, but I don't know. I mean, really with a name like McAdoo, it just is never gonna work.
Elijah is hitting up the comment section. Hi, Elijah. I see you there. I'm just not typing. Let's go to the. We got another caller here. Ready? 330. How are we feeling tonight?
Feeling
What's your name?
pretty cautiously optimistic about this hire.
Tell us about it.
This is a familiar voice.
I'm
What's your name
usually the
again?
one. Yankee King.
Yankee King. All right. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm usually very down on this team, but with hearing Bill Belichick speak so highly of him, I'm like, I'm cautiously optimistic now. But I feel like I feel like we should see what Judge got, and if Dave Gettleman can put some input on him, or not a lot of input, because I don't really trust Dave Gettleman with the draft at all. Shop around a few players, trade a few players away, get more draft picks, and let Judge have full control of the draft. Dave Gettleman backs off. Joe Judge.
Why do you think Gettleman can't
This
draft?
is his draft.
Why do you think Gettleman can't draft?
Well, Gettleman can draft, but he just can't trade back. He can trade forward, but I don't trust him to trade backward.
He could trade back. He's just never traded back. He could draft. He drafts good players. It's just sometimes they're not players that we need at the positions that we need.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
that's what I've always said.
That's true.
That's his way out. So he always does the best player available. So at the end of the day, you look back and say, well, this guy was an All-Pro. This guy had a great rookie PFF grade. This guy was this. But then why does the team always suck? And it's because he doesn't bring in the right players. He brings in good players, not the right players. Now, so you're saying you want Gettleman to relinquish some of his control, and you want to trust. You're willing to trust Judge with drafting and personnel and things like that.
Yes, let him go. Just let him see what he can do. Let him build his team. This is his team. He's coaching it. Let Gettleman pay the players, cash out the checks when he needs to, and then let Joe Judge. He's seen Bill Belichick carry the Patriots dynasty. With Tom Brady, he's seen it with his own eyes. He was there. He was there right with Belichick. I almost said Gettleman. Right with Belichick. So just back off. Let Joe Judge carry this draft.
That's a lot of trust. I'm not saying I disagree. That's
hear.
a lot of trust in a guy that's never even been a coordinator, offensive or defensive, before. I'm not saying I disagree, but I think that would catch some Giants fans off guard.
You know what?
If you're hiring a guy,
I'm trying to be nice, but come on, man. Let's be honest. You just said Gettleman can draft. If Gettleman can draft, let him draft. There's no reason to have a GM if he doesn't draft.
Yeah.
Yes, Gettleman can draft.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yankee, I put you on hold by accident. Hold on. Let me go to, the lines are now lighting up. Yankee King, just stay in the background for the moment, all right? 732, what's going on, brother? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Marco, it's Nick.
Hey, Nick, what's going on, brother? How you been?
Hey, big guy, how are you?
Good. How do you feel about all this craziness that's going on? Did you get the guy you wanted?
Oh, I don't know about the coach, but I totally agree with everything you guys were just saying. If you haven't seen the page, I've been defending Gettleman after I looked at his last couple of drafts for the last week now. Let the guy draft. I mean, I loved what Bill Belichick said about it. I mean, words are great, man. Dave Gettleman says a lot of nice shit too, but what the fuck? We haven't won any games.
Right.
Your name is Nick?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Nick, this is Will.
So, Nick, let me ask you this, though. Do you agree with my assessment that Gettleman always brings in pretty good players, but they're not necessarily the right players? He just loads up with, drafting a guy like Dexter Lawrence at 17 when they already have interior defensive linemen, missing out on pass rushers and different things. What do you, that's kind of my assessment is like, okay, so he brings in Saquon, he brings in Lawrence, he brings in these guys that people say, oh, look, that's a good player, can't blame Gettleman, but it's like, nah, but did he really draft what we needed to win? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, what don't we need to win right now? We need pretty much everything on defense.
Good point.
Either position on the line. We have a tight end. We have a couple wide receivers. You can maybe wait on that. He said in his press conference, he was like, we're just going to take the best guy available. I'm trying to build a roster just to take the best guy available in the draft. He's not shy about it. He's fucking letting everybody know he's taking the best guy available no matter what. We're stuck with that.
Yeah, but if for the next 5 drafts, the best player available is a running back, you're cool with taking 5 running backs in a row? Like at some point, you got to look at what the team needs.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm just saying he's not. He's not at all shy about it. So I mean,
no
matter
not,
how we feel about it, this is how it's going to be.
And that's one of my
Nick, I think you get
with him. Well, I was
Nick, you know what? I agree with you. So it's all good.
Yeah, I think Nick is getting. Getting killed for playing devil's advocate. He could draft. He's just not. Yeah, he likes defensive linemen. What do you want me to tell you?
Marco knows my feelings. Marco knows my feelings. He sees it on the chat daily. Gettleman can draft. Now, he needs to get a little bit better in free agency, but this is the first time we've actually had real money. So we're going to see what he actually does with it.
Right.
I stand by my word that Gettleman drafts good players, but he does not draft the right players. That's like I said, this past draft, the only strength of the Giants, the terrible Giants this past year in the past draft, the only place they were actually pretty good was interior defensive linemen. And what is his big moves? He brings in Dexter Lawrence at 17, and he brings in Leonard Williams in the middle of the year. And now it's like we have too much of that and not enough of anything else. It's just
I agree with you with that. As far as and Marco knows this is. First of all, I was a big fan of Dexter Lawrence. I think he's a great player.
He is.
But as far as the Leonard Williams trade, it made no sense if you didn't go to a 4-3. If you were going to say a 3-4, it made absolutely no sense.
And
taking out B.J. Hill, who's a better player than
I'm praying for a 4-3. I've been praying for a 4-3 for so long, and I'm really hoping if they bring in a different D coordinator this year, I really hope it's someone that's got runs a 4-3. I'd love for them to, draft. Whether even in the draft, look, 7 of the top 18 ranked free agents this year are young edge defenders, and AJ Epinesa, YGM, Uter Gross-Matos. I think they're gonna, obviously probably miss on Chase Young, but I'd love, they don't have Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Gary Reasons, and Harry Carson to go in a 3-4. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I can't believe it's.
I would love them to go after. I'm going to kill his last name. It's Yannick. Yep. Whatever Joanico or whatever it is.
Yeah, that sounds good enough.
From Jacksonville. Yeah, that's who I want. That's my number one guy.
And once we get him, we'll figure out how to pronounce it. All right, let me add. Let's add to the chaos. Let's get another question coming in here from 845. Right. What's going on, brother? Where are you calling from?
I'm originally from Poughkeepsie, but I live down in North Carolina. My name's Patrick.
Oh. What's up, Patrick?
That's right.
You and Tim are neighbors.
Yeah. So here's my thing. We got the head coach in place, and whether or not what we think of him, I guess we're going to find out. But even more importantly, I think at this point is who they're going to bring as an offensive coordinator, what kind of system are they going to run, and a defensive coordinator. If they're more than likely going to move on from Betcher, what kind of scheme? You guys talked briefly about that, whether a 4-3 or 3-4. And if you're going to go to a 4-3, we're going to have that transition year like we had with the first year with Betcher, because we don't really have the pieces, I don't think, right now for a 4-3, just because we don't have the prototypical defensive ends on the squad right now. I just don't see it. So I think there's going to be a year of transition to try to switch back to the 4-3. So I think that's almost more of an important thing, is who they're going to bring in as an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Also, are you going to bring in somebody that legitimately can teach offensive line? Because I feel like we have not had somebody that can come in and install things on the offensive line to give us more production in the running game.
Yeah. Yep.
And are you going to run a blocking scheme that's going to allow us to take advantage and have somebody now, Sherman's out of the door, to utilize Barkley in the way that he should be utilized?
Excellent point.
I think what you mentioned about the coordinators is interesting. Like, okay, so we're not expecting Judge to be calling plays. So all of a sudden you're going to have, it's not, a lot of teams, look at Shermer, right? You're calling plays, you're head coach. So it is interesting now. The coordinator positions do become so much more important. I think you made a good point about the offensive line. It does seem like every offensive lineman seems like they tended to sort of regress when they come to the Giants. And then I think, and then I want to ask you what you think, but I think the 4-3, I feel like with Connolly, and some of the linebackers and some of the defensive line, I feel like it wouldn't be the hardest transition. If we pick up
I'm with you with that as far as that. The 4-3 would. We don't have the strength in the linebacker core for it to be a big switch from the 4-3 to 3-4. And honestly, as far as 4-3,
it's the defensive end part.
As far as 4-3, we can do that right now with Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Tomlinson, B.J. Hill. We do that 3-4 right now.
But isn't Leonard Williams in his walk here? Isn't that why? It was even a bigger mistake to trade for him, because it was the last year of his contract and he's done.
Supposedly,
Leonard Williams, he's going to get re-signed, and from what we saw,
they're bringing him back.
They should bring him back, and his worth is supposedly, according to some website, I forget, it was like Sport Tech or something like that, valued him at $8 million a year. If that's what it takes to bring him back, I think they bring him back easily.
And the DNs, this year, look, they've neglected the pass rush for so long, whether you're running a 4-3 or a 3-4, and it kills me because, look at the last two Super Bowls, right? Average offense, average secondary, great pass rush, 2 Super Bowls. So I think, I even was a whole other conversation. I wanted Josh Allen, this past year, and it still bugs me. I still think they could have done something better in the draft, still gotten Daniel Jones, or been drafting for Herbert or 2 or something this year. So I think they're going to address it this year, or Gettleman's going to get run out of town. And whether it's in the draft, whether it's in free agency, or both, I think it'll be both. If the Giants did not bring in, especially in free agency, if they didn't bring in at least one edge defender.
Yeah,
but isn't the problem also, at least on the college level, that listening to the Giants website, when they have their podcast, they talk about, one of the guys talks about how they have college game is a lot of tweeners now. You don't have too many prototypical 4-3 defensive ends, which is why a lot of NFL teams are switching to the 3-4 just because of that reason.
Right.
I know AJ Epessa is a pretty prototypical 4-3 guy. He can play inside, but he's quick enough to get around the edge. And then Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State is kind of the same thing. He'll play inside sometimes, but he's even a little bit more athletic. So I think those 2 guys will go in the first round. They are pretty much prototypical 4-3 DNs.
But for those guys, if they take those guys, I really hope he trades back from 4. If he takes
I think if you stick at 4, you have to take the offensive tackle. I think that.
I'm all about Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, if we stay at 4. That's who I think should be the pick.
Or you trade back.
I'd say, let Cleveland call back in, see if they're still interested in Solder, get Solder out of here, get that contract out of here, go offensive tackle if you're sitting that high in the draft.
Well, that's what he's saying, Andrew Thomas, right, from, Georgia, and then
right.
you know, a couple other guys up there. I mean, trade back. My fantasy here is that, you know, other than Chase Young dropping to the Giants, which again is probably 5%, but would be a trade back with Oakland if Oakland's looking for a quarterback, and then you get all of a sudden you get the 12 and the 19, and then you pick again at 36 because they need so many players. And Gettleman traded away the third-round draft pick to take a look at Leonard Williams. So
the one guy
predicated on what we do on free
I'm with
agency,
you
isn't it?
on Oakland.
Right.
Totally with you on Oakland. Is Carolina. If Carolina moves on from Cam Newton, they're drafting the quarterback. They're at 7. That would not be a big drop for us. And
right.
quarterbacks would be getting taken because Herbert's probably getting taken at Miami at 5.
So you think they
Carolina wants him?
You think they go down to down to? Does Carolina have another number 1 pick?
They don't have another number 1 pick, but we probably get a second, maybe a future first. Who knows? To move down to the third 3 spots.
Right.
It'd just be additional assets regardless, and probably, you know, knock on wood, get the guy we wanted anyway.
The thing with Gettleman is that's an issue is it's very consistent. He's never traded back, and he says he's all about taking the best player, and those two things go hand in hand. It's like he has a physical impediment where he can't fathom how could I take number 5 if I can take number 4.
Right.
So I don't think don't think it's going to happen.
Now that we have 4 computer folk over there, maybe things are going to look a little different and
software.
And so,
but yeah, you were saying, or one of our callers, I'm not sure if it was you, I've lost a little track here, but it's about how much power, I think it might have been our last call, it might have been the Yankee King guy if he's still on hold, how much power we give to the coaching staff, whoever it is else that comes in, or if it's Judge, you know, how much say do they have? If he says, listen, we need to address pass rush, we need to trade back, is Gettleman actually going to listen? Who knows?
If I'm Gettleman, I'm just putting myself in Gettleman's shoes. He pretty much has to win this year, right?
What do you consider
or he might be out.
Like 7-9, 8-8?
Or at least I would say playoffs.
Playoffs this year?
Or just
I have a
playoffs.
50 at 7-9, bro. 7-9 is a win.
Oh, absolutely. 7-9. I mean, 7. Yeah.
Well, 7-9, the way this division goes, might be the division-winning record. So.
Well, last night I was dogging Jason Garrett for like 8-8, and I was like, you know what? I haven't seen 8-8 in a long time. Maybe I should stop dogging him.
By the way,
8-8 would be really nice right now.
I got to give a shout out. I got to do 2 things here real quick because Marco, you mentioned about, you know, us complaining about our record. So my cousin is a Jets fan, and he's like, you know, I love the show, sounded great. He's like, well, you guys, you got to be kidding me. He's like, you Giants fans, you're complaining about your record. You've been bad for 3 years. We've been bad for 70 years.
But you know what, though? The thing is, if you're going to suck and miss the playoffs, right, you might as well suck the whole way. Because, I lived in Buffalo for a while. That's what Buffalo Bills did, and that's why they were garbage, because they stayed being 7-9, 8-8, and then you get a horrible draft pick in the middle of the draft, and there would, you'd never get any of these game-changing players. Especially when you were in Buffalo, because good luck trying to get someone to come to Buffalo.
Right.
Man, yeah.
Not if you're drafting the best player available.
So at least when we suck, we're sucking the whole way. We're getting top 5, top 10 picks.
That's where Tua could really luck out, because if he does go like look at how it worked out for Lamar Jackson. Like, all these quarterbacks get to go, real early. They go to terrible teams, and he gets to just sit down. Not that he's not doing a lot of it himself, obviously, but he gets to go to an already well-established team. It's like I say about Tom Brady. He never had to do what Peyton Manning had to do, or Troy Aikman, and go to a 1-15 team. But he inherited a team that was already a playoff team. And so, it's like Tua, all of a sudden, because of his injury, goes to like number like 18 or something like that instead of having to go number 1. I mean, that's in its own way, it's kind of a break.
He'll be a Patriot. He'll end up being a Patriot.
For the people in the comments who want to know the call-in number, it's 516-453-9383. I also wanted to mention that I really love Ritz crackers, especially with Nutella. Okay.
My boy Keith is listening. My boy Ko is listening, and he wants me to reiterate his point that when it comes to the interviews, he's talking about, how much the Giants screwed up. I don't want to misquote him here. So he says his rule is if you want a guy, don't let him leave the building like the Panthers did, like some other teams did. That's his whole thing.
So, but the thing is, we didn't even get him in the building.
That's what I'm trying to say. You got to get them to the building to keep them in the building. It's like Seinfeld. You know how to take the reservation. You don't know how to hold the reservation.
Right. Exactly. Oh, man.
Well, it's kind of the opposite, but still.
Oh, it's just so hard. I still can't believe it. I would be okay with it.
Guys, let's put it to you. Are we really mad over not getting a rule?
No, Tim, if the narrative was different, if it was like we want Judge Joe Brown so bad that we're gonna get him, he's our number one priority, and everyone was saying that, and we got him, it's a different story than feeding us that it's Matt Rule and then
he's our number one guy, then go signing somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of the way, right? If we found out today, the Giants interviewed a bunch of guys, and guess what? The guy they loved the most, they got the guy they wanted. That just makes you feel a little bit better, It's like, it reminds me of the Yankees. Like, they used to kind of get all their guys, and then all of a sudden, like, it started changing a little bit. And then in, like, the late 2000s, early 2010s, they started losing some of their guys and getting second fiddle guys. And all of a sudden, you feel like powerless. And, the Giants, in all reality, the Giants have been a top 5. I've actually seen ranked organizations and had them ranked number 2 organization of all time. And then all of a sudden it's crashed down so hard that the fact that guys like don't want to be here, or it's not desirable, or coaches like don't even want to deal with us. It sucks. It's embarrassing,
Yeah.
True.
This is such
think about the head coaching candidates. all these guys are like Chris Richard and Eric Bieniemy and all that. Everybody that interviewed. I was like, are you kidding me? This rule's number 1.
No, I agree.
Right.
I was never a huge Rule guy. I mean, he's a college guy, and of course, Bale is legit, but it's not like he's been at Clemson for how many years, or it's a guy like
even McCarthy's got to be. That had to be huge disrespect to McCarthy. That all he's seen is Rule's the number 1 guy. Came in for an interview. They let me leave. So he must have been like, oh, they let me leave. Well, obviously he must be the number 1 guy.
He's wearing his Super Bowl ring. He's like, why the fuck they keep on mentioning this guy all the time?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm nervous. This was such a risky hire for the Giants. I don't know if it's the right one. I don't know much about the dude.
I have to hear him talk, and judging based on how high or low his voice is, I'll tell you how good he's going to be.
Well, you know what? I like the risk factor. It's like bringing up my gambling tendencies. So I'm like, just let's let it ride. Put it all in.
It took a big sack to make that move, and that's why I like Gettleman. He did the same thing when Soldier was on him. When Soldier was on the market, we needed a tackle, man, and he was the sexiest guy out there. I can't blame Gettleman for getting him. Gettleman overpays for absolutely everything and doesn't get enough in return, but he made the move, and we were happy when he made it because that's what we needed.
You know what,
and I want to address this exactly, and I totally agree with you, and this is why I wanted to say it because James isn't on the line, and we argue literally daily on this.
Right.
The Nate Solder pick that Gettleman gets killed for. First of all, he wanted Andrew Norwell, who, you know what, guys, he ended up sucking in Jacksonville. So good thing we didn't overpay for him anyway. And Solder was literally the only, just like Will said, just the only left tackle left. And there was no way he was going to go into the season with Eric Flowers being our left tackle. So he pretty much had to pick Solder. And we had to overpay for him because we weren't the only team that were going for him. It was beginning of free agency, and he was the number one left tackle. You think he wasn't going to get paid?
Mm-hmm. I got a question and a comment.
And as far as all the other guys,
do we still have a caller on the phone?
We have Nick on. Yeah, Nick's still with us.
Okay, you gotta I wasn't sure. I was hearing voice. I'm like, who is this person? Nick, glad it's still there. The comment is that the second Solder came to the Giants, the second that went down, I went on Twitter to find out a little bit about him, and it was just littered with Patriots fans being like, you guys are such losers. This guy is not good. Like, it's just you way overpaid for him, whatever. And I wonder if it's part of – now, again, I can't really blame, like you said, we needed a left tackle. He was supposedly the best guy, at least an average left tackle with experience. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done the same thing. But what I'm wondering is if it's kind of a curse of dealing with the Patriots, right? Because the Patriots have been so good that anyone, a guy could be like, oh, I was the water boy for a half a season with the Patriots. People like, you're hired, because they think there's just something about that franchise, right? And, so Solder comes off, oh, he was the worst guy for them, but he'll be great for us. Or this coach, like if you look at the coaching tree, Belichick hasn't really spawned off a lot of guys that have done big time things, Patricia and McDaniels and these guys. It's like, it's such a Belichick-Brady operation that I wonder if these guys get too much love, and could be the case again with Judge. What do you guys think about that? That people just think they're Patriots magic.
But it's a great question as far as too much love. But so I'm just gonna look at it. He was in charge of Patriots special teams. They were one of the top squads in the league, and have been for years as far as special teams. So I'll judge him on that.
But you don't think that's Belichick? Belichick was a special teams coordinator. Like, look at their offense. You think that's McDaniels? Or you think that's Belichick Brady and the defense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as what fans say from Patriots, after they lost the playoff game, I see people burning Brady jerseys. So as far as Patriots fans, they're not the greatest fans in the world.
No comment.
Oh, he's only brought you 6 championships. Let's burn his jersey, you pieces of shit.
I enjoy a trip to Boston here and then. This is Will. If you're listening from Boston, no comment. Wait, how many times is Tim going to make me say no comment tonight?
Tim, would you like to say something?
I like the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Tim, would you like to say something about Me Too or anything along that line?
We've already gotten to that Me Too stuff.
All right.
I won't get into it today.
Nick, what are you feeling right now, man? Nick, what are you feeling right now? You still on the line?
Nick,
yeah, I'm here, man.
What are you feeling? What are you thinking about all this? So overall,
I don't know, man.
Overall, who was the guy you really wanted, and what was your reaction when Judge got the nod?
I definitely wanted McDaniels. He was the guy I
wanted.
wanted.
We haven't heard that yet.
Oh, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah, you.
I
you're allowed to have your opinion.
I can't really. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Well, McDaniels is. There's a reason that he doesn't have a head coaching job already. First of all, I think he's scared of having one without Belichick because people see how crappy he was in Denver. But what he did to Indianapolis, after he did that, he doesn't deserve another head coaching job. To take a job and just say, nah, I'm good.
One guy I didn't want. I'm glad we didn't get Ron Rivera, to be honest with you.
I wanted Rivera.
I had a whole bit on Rivera, how I didn't want him because his offenses are just fucking subpar.
Yeah. All right.
Matter's on the staff. I was him. Absolutely.
The phone lines are lit up again. Oh, this one. I think this is James actually.
Oh,
one of them.
You know what? How bad would you guys snap if one of the staff members, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, is a woman?
See, we're going to meet him. Look at that. See, there we go.
I'm willing to let Tim just continue to keep digging his hole further and further and further. From what I just heard in the first 30 seconds of being on hold. My God. Welcome back. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Welcome.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
James, we have Tim's on, Will is on, Nick is on, a full crew here, and we have about
Everybody came for the funeral.
We have about 5 lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
So James, tell me
you don't believe what you just said. You don't believe what you just said about McDaniels, right? You don't believe what you just said about McDaniels, right? You don't believe it.
Who, me?
Yeah, no.
Well,
Jesus. You. Who else just said what they said about McDaniels? You don't think that McDaniels went in. You don't think McDaniels went into the interview in Indianapolis and maybe took that job under the false pretense that Andrew Luck's shoulders were okay. And when the medical reports came out that they weren't, he was like, fuck you, I was lied to, I'm walking, why am I going to do this? And you don't think that McDaniels falls into the same umbrella as we spoke about weeks ago, that when this whole thing started for a coaching search, we said, we are going to know what is going on. The damage control that came out in the first 2 press conferences, we are going to know what is going on by who gets hired. And this is not against Judge. This is nothing against Judge. We don't know what Judge is. God love him. God bless him working with these clusterfucks. God love him, what he's going to have to endure working with the 4 computer folks and software. Okay? But what this told you right now is that there is what we've been saying all along. There's a huge problem going on, gentlemen. And McDaniels and Rule and McCarthy all fell under the same umbrella. Okay, they all fell under that if they got hired, and we all heard their names. Like, let's not try to spin this now that, fuck those guys, and now, like, forget about, now Joe Judge was always the guy. This is it. Like, let's not spin this. It was McCarthy, McDaniels, and Rule. Those were the top 3 guys. Those are the most ready guys. Those are the hottest guys. And McDaniels is going to get the job in Cleveland, so let's not even talk about that. He's going to get the job, right? So what those guys came with was power. Was say. They're going to want personnel staff. They're going to want say over personnel. They're going to want say over the direction of the franchise. Sports science, investing into that, putting money into that side of the business. They're going to want that. They're going to want to choose their own staff. What does Joe Judge come with?
Do you think, James,
do you think he's interview for a head coach?
Do you think he's going to get any say on any leeway from Gettleman at all?
No,
Zero.
nor do I think he should. Like, this was his first interview for a head coach who's a special teams coach. I've heard 3 people say today that special teams coaches go into the thing going, yeah, I think I know who I would want for coordinators, and then everybody's like, no. We've heard Jason Garrett's name for offensive coordinator. I just saw before I called in, the Giants contacted Garrett on Sunday. They didn't know about Judge until Monday. And if you really want to fucking, why not wait to interview McDaniels?
Tim, I put you on mute for a second. You gotta back up the mic. It's your beard is acting up.
Agreed.
That's grooming tips at the Bleedbigblue podcast.
Manscaped.
Now,
sponsor.
Who just called in? What was your name? Was it Dave?
My God. This team is going to kill me. This fucking team is going to kill me. Yeah. This is James.
So, James, I think based on this is Will, by the way. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Good. Based on my theory of coaching, you'd be a pretty good coach right off the bat because you got a pretty commanding voice.
Well, Gettleman has a pretty commanding voice. He's a fucking tard. I mean,
Gettleman has a commanding voice? He sounds like a drunken grandpa.
He could sound commanding. He could sound it. There's a bunch of idiots named Giant fans that are buying anything this guy has to say. And he's got Matt and Tish under his fucking thumb, so he's doing something right.
Oh, my God. This is such a risky hire. I'll tell you.
And here's the thing, guys. And here's the other thing. Here's something. This is genius, okay? You know, Marco. You know I was against the Daniel Jones thing, right? And I don't know what Daniel Jones is going to be because I don't think you can make an assessment of a quarterback in 1 or 2 years. The people that put a crown on Jones now are the same people that wanted to put a crown on Baker Mayfield in year 1, and we saw him take a step back. So let's breathe about that. But with that being said, the kid exceeded expectations this year, right? So now you fire Shermer, but you came out and admitted that you clusterfucked the roster, right? You said I couldn't rebuild and do this at the same time. I made a huge mistake, right? But what's been the one solace? The quarterback, right? Like, okay, well, he's got the quarterback. Well, if Gettleman came out in the press conference and told us it was a collaborative effort to get the quarterback, and the biggest voice in the room to get the quarterback was Pat Shermer, and Pat Shermer's been such a huge influence on Daniel Jones and the progression he made in year 1, why the fuck did we fire Pat Shermer if we were going to keep Dave Gettleman? Because what this does is Jordan Renan in the press conference with John Mara asked Mara straight out, do you think that it's concern having a lame duck general manager? Mara looked him dead in the eye and was like, yeah, it's a concern. Here's why it's a concern, gentlemen. Daniel Jones just had a very good year with Pat Shermer under a specific offense and a specific system. Now Judge is coming in. God knows what Judge who's going to bring in, not to say that he's not going to bring in something good, not to say that it can't be beneficial. If it goes bad, in year 1 or year 2, and this roster has a lot of holes. There's a lot of depth that needs to be built. There's a lot of bullseyes that need to be hit, and not a lot more misses. If it goes bad, and you get rid of Judge this year or next year with Gettleman, that's 3 fucking systems in 4 years that Daniel Jones had to go through.
But if it goes bad, where you're getting rid of Gettleman, Jones, and the other thing, you're probably going to have a good draft pick where you're going to most likely start over again.
Yeah, but I don't even know that you would want to get rid of Jones at that point, man.
James,
I don't know that you can blame Jones at that point. We said you can't blame. Yeah. We said in the 2018 draft, we said when there were 5 quarterbacks going out, and we said all of these fucking guys have talent. We said a lot of these guys are going to go to places where they're not going to be successful. More of them than not are going to go to places where they're not going to be successful. What have we seen? We've seen 2 of them go to places where they could be successful, Allen and Lamar Jackson, right? And teams have bought into that way of play and have built around them and have made the right moves and they've been successful. Both teams were in the playoffs this year. We've seen one team teetering, right? We've seen Darnold. Darnold could be really good, could be really bad, right? But the team around them is pretty bad if they build it up. But he's right on the brink, right? But
and then
they've also changed the coach once for him. So Rosen's fucked. Rosen's got Miami. 2 offensive He had 3 offensive coordinators in his first 2 seasons, right? Not a lot of talent surrounding him. Right? Wait, who was the other guy? Baker. Baker has no excuses, but they're just a clusterfuck. Baker had a better season with less talent around him. You figure that out.
No Odell.
But
that's just to show you that there's no science.
I think you're making a lot of good points, but agreeing.
No, don't tell the guys in the Yeah,
agreeing with you is not entertaining as disagreeing. So the one thing I think that you did that I disagree with you about, or at least I want a clarification from you on, I agree. You make a compelling argument why Gettleman should be fired, but I don't think just because you think Gettleman's more culpable than Shermer, it doesn't necessarily mean Shermer should not also have been fired. I think Shermer.
I think both of them should have gone. I think both of them. But if you're going to bring Gettleman back,
if you're going to, but then so you're cool with getting rid of Shermer, even though it's bringing in a second-year coach for Daniel Jones.
I'm cool. I was cool with getting in the Shermer if the hiring of the coach signaled someone that didn't give a fuck about Gettleman. Right? Like someone that said, oh, Dave, nice suggestion. Go fuck yourself. You're not going to be here in 2 years. Or, thank you, Dave. I'll take that suggestion, and I'll take it as I need to, and maybe I'll take your advice because I agree with you to a point.
Well,
I wanted someone like
so far
I did not want McCarthy. I did not want McCarthy. I did not want McDaniels. Rule was my number one guy, but I was willing to go with McDaniels or McCarthy because I thought they signaled that maybe the franchise was saying, okay, we got it wrong and it's a chance to take a step in the right direction. I could have even bought that a little more if they said, okay, we're going to hire Martindale to bring in his entire staff with Joe Brady. I could have even bought that more if they said, we're going to hire Bellamy from the Andy Reid tree who just worked with Patrick Mahomes because we want him to – I could have bought that more. Joe Judge, nothing against the guy. Nothing against the guy. It's like,
James,
it's like the Seinfeld thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But
you know what I wanted to bring up? I don't think we have actually talked about this. When it was rumored that Gettleman, wasn't feeling well and possibly, he would be stepping down for, for medical reasons or just to take time off and stuff like that. Do you know what a crock of shit that was that one of the beat writers for the Giants, I won't say who it was, DM'd you saying he was hobbling around the other thing just to start the shit up? I just realized that the other day.
Well, here's the thing is, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I thought the health, I think the health was a fucking crutch. I'm sorry. God love them. But like when they sat there I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear how Dave Gettleman was fighting for his life. Like whether you're fighting for your life or not, when you're on the clock at 2 with 4 quarterbacks on the board, you turn your fucking phones off. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want to hear excuses for shit. I don't want to hear excuses for Leonard Williams. Like, I want to hear someone step up and go, we fucked up.
Well, he was in good health at that point. It was later on in the season. But
don't come into the press conference when, we just fired the coach. They're coming in sitting at the press conference and they're going, this guy's fighting for his life last year. Like, I don't want to hear a violin right now. I want somebody to take fucking responsibility for this mess.
I'm just saying I thought that was a shady move by that beat reporter. I won't say who it was.
I don't know that he was lying. I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
It's true. What's going on?
It's a mess, man. It's a mess, man.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with Joe Judge. I hope Joe Judge ends up being a great coach and proving us all wrong and making all the skeptics look like idiots. But right now, in the moment, right, they didn't. You can't tell me they intended for this to happen. You can't tell me that they weren't prepared to pay that amount of money for Matt Rule. You can't tell me they started negotiating with Judge last night. Don't bullshit me.
Well, I think, first of all, we're not necessarily saying you're going to prove us wrong about Judge. I don't think any of us are saying, oh, he's never going to make it. We're just in shock right now.
Well, same here. But I hope. But I hope he proves us. I mean, there's a lot of people that think this is completely ridiculous.
Sure. Now, don't you think so? I mean, haven't we all heard enough for failure like Shermer? Haven't we all heard rumor? I mean, there's been so much talk, more than I've ever heard in my entire life as a Giants fan. There's been so much talk about Gettleman, relinquishing some of his power, that I think even though it's a guy with no clout, if you will, like Judge, I do think it's kind of going to be, even if it's for pressure reasons, that Gettleman will loosen the reins a little bit. And even though it's, like I said, a guy like Judge, that Judge will have more say than Shermer had, let's say.
But is that good? Like, is Judge the guy you want having more say? This was the guy's first head coaching interview.
I know. We don't know.
I would be, believe it or not, and this might sound crazy, and if you disagree, I understand that. I am so anti-Gettleman that I would be fine with a 38-year-old guy who's been in the NFL for a little while making some decisions, in the draft.
I would, if you told me right now, if you gave me a decision, if you said you can have this guy, Judge, make all the decisions or Gettleman, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I would just say give Judge all of control. Here's the problem.
Right.
Is I think they hired Judge because they know there's no fucking chance of that happening.
I don't think so. I think Gettleman is gonna be more open to having to listen to these guys now.
Kevin Abrams?
He's eating some humble pie.
Who is the voice? Who is going to be the voice in Gettleman's ear? Because right now I don't see it, guys.
Mara,
you can't,
Tish.
There's no way to spin this. Tish didn't show up for any of the interviews at all. He showed up today for Rule, and Rule told them to go fuck themselves. And two people, Adam Shine, and I know a lot of people don't like Pat Leonard. I don't know why. You may hate what the guy says, but you give the guy like 3 weeks, and when he turns out says ends up being right. And it has happened with the Rams and the Odell trade and all that good shit. So say what you want about Pat Leonard. Both of Adam Shine and Pat Leonard on the record basically stating that, hey, guess what? If it wasn't Carolina, Rule was going back to Baylor. He wasn't even coming to the Giants.
No, but he called up the Giants. Everyone's reporting and said that he was willing to come here if they matched the offer.
But look what he is getting from – but it's not about money. Look what he is getting from Carolina. He has the opportunity to pick his own GM in the next year or two. He has the opportunity to invest in an entire sport. The owner is going to invest in the identical sports science system that they have at Baylor and implement it into their system in Carolina.
But do you think if the Giants offered him that? No, but I don't think they're willing to do it. But if they were willing to do it, I think Rule would have come to the Giants.
Then that's it. And that is the reason why. There's the reason why the Giants are not willing to do those things. There's the reason why McCarthy gets a hand job at Jerry Jones' house. There's a reason why McDaniels has a bad interview, and there's a reason why Belichick is telling McDaniels in 2018 he has concerns over the structure of our franchise, and it's the reason why Rule was going to go back to Baylor. There's a problem. And when you see a guy like Judge, it just signals that something is wrong here.
Would you have given Rule 7 years, $60 million?
I would have given Rule whatever he wanted. I would have given whatever he wanted.
Dude, the guy's the coach of Baylor for 3 years.
Whatever he wanted. First of all, let's stop. He was at Baylor for 3 years. He turned around Temple. They were awful. He took a team at Baylor that had a scandal in 2016, and he turned them around in 3 years.
I don't care if it's.
If you want to talk, let's talk facts. He took Temple and brought them to a respectable program. Temple. Then he went to Baylor after the scandal, after their program was guttered, and in 3 years had them in a BCS competing with Ohio State. Okay, so yes, I would have given him control over Gettleman. I would have given McDaniels control over Gettleman. I would have given McCarthy control over Gettleman. Granted, I don't even like McDaniels or McCarthy. I don't even want them. I would have been more comfortable with them being the decision makers and having more power on staff and personnel than Dave Gettleman.
The
money. The Mara is worth $500 million. Tish is worth $1.2 billion. Cry me a fucking river with the money. They just got done paying McAdoo, and they just fired Shermer, knowing they had to pay him for another 3 years. Like, don't cry with me about a $6,000. You made this clusterfuck. You fix it.
I think we lost him in this shuffle.
The idea to me about, the amount of college coaches who are far more accomplished than Matt Rule, who come out and can't do it in the NFL. It's a different beast. Just hear me out. No, hold up. Listen, in my opinion, even though Rule was the guy that I guess I wanted more than anyone else, the idea of giving any college coach, and now we're not talking about a guy who's won championship at the championship. Any college coach, even if you like him a lot, and just giving him all the power and all the years and all the money, to me, that's just not the way to do it.
What's the alternative? We have Dave Gettleman running the fucking show.
Yeah, that's what we're going to
running back $8 million. Guys, you know why that pocket savings went from $10 million last year conveniently to $20 million this year? Here's why.
Eli's coming off the cap?
No. Bullshit. Here's why. Because you better put an extra $10 to $20 million away. Because guess who's going to want to throw a contract going into year 4? Because they don't want to play in their option year without getting hurt. The guy you're paying $8 million that you drafted it to, Saquon. You're going to have to pay Saquon $20 million next season. Look at who's around the league. All the running back, Emmitt Smith, Gordon, at the end of their third seasons, what did they do? They held out. Why? because there's a team option in year 5 of the contract. The only money that's guaranteed is year 4. So you get hurt in year 4, go fuck yourself. So all these guys they're hanging out, they're restructuring, they want new deals at the end of year 3, and year 3 going into year 4. They want that contract ripped up. You don't think Saquon's going to want to do that? You don't think his agent's going to want to do that?
So you think he's going to hold out this year?
Him?
You think he's holding out
No,
next year?
I don't think he holds out this year. I think he plays this year without a problem. I think at the end of next year, he's going to want, and as he should, for the position he plays. I'm not making Saquon out to be a bad guy, but that's what happened when you take a running back that high in the draft. Christian McCaffrey, you're going to have the same exact thing happen in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Next year, Christian McCaffrey's going to be looked to be getting paid now. He came in the league a year earlier than Barkley. He's going into the 4th year of his deal now. So that means he has the 5th-year team option. The team could say, fuck you, I don't want to pick it up, or they could pick it up. If they pick it up, it's worth what, $6-7 million?
Yeah.
If he gets hurt during that 4th year or that 5th-year option year, there's no more money guaranteed.
No, I love Barkley. I don't like where they took him. I probably think they could have made a move and took him a little lower, but probably Cleveland would have snuck him up. I think they had the 4, right, or the 5 they had.
I don't think Cleveland would have taken him at 4. I think
Cleveland
would have taken Ward, and I think that would have been, that would have been the right pick. I don't. You take cornerbacks over running backs. I'm sorry. No offense, Saquon. You know I love you. I hope you do phenomenal. But you take cornerbacks and left tackles and pass rushers over running backs and quarterbacks.
Who's that? Oh my God, I forgot who it was. I was watching a college corner this year who's probably supposedly going to go top 7, and he seemed like dynamite. And I was like,
who? Jeffrey Okudah?
Yes.
Okudah can go
like him.
top 5.
But I got news for you. Where they're sitting, they either have to hope that the Tua coming out could be big for them. They could end up with a top 2 player. They can end up with Price at the tackle.
Yeah,
right
but
the
problem is Washington, unless someone gets into the GM's head that they don't even have.
Well, even if Washington, no matter how it falls, if Burrow goes 1 and what's his name, Chase Young, what's the guy's name? He goes second. Yeah, if he goes second, right? Even if they take him, then that puts. Well, you know what? Detroit. I just saw it today. Detroit
that they might want Tua
for Tua. They would be in play with Tua at 3.
I don't think they would take him at 3. I think they got enough years left with Stafford. They would go with. They need defense. They need either Okudah.
But are you that sold on Stafford, or do you take Tua on a rookie deal? Stafford's making $28 million a year.
I don't think they would part from Stafford. I think quarterbacks are showing that they can play until their late 30s.
I don't think you part from him right away. I think you bring Stafford back, but I don't think Stafford deters. You think if Tua's on the board and you're that high on Tua, a guy like Stafford is going to stop you from drafting him?
I don't think that they'd be high enough on Tua. It'd be very difficult for me to envision somebody taking Tua that high given the injuries and stuff. We'll see how he rehabs.
It's going to happen. So let me ask you this: what would a good GM, if you're Detroit, let's say you're Detroit and Burrow goes 1 and Young goes 2, and you're Detroit on the board, and you've determined that, just like you said, you don't want all the medical reports come back good, but you got a feeling and it's too big a risk, and the hip thing you don't like it. What do you do?
If I'm who? Detroit?
If you're Detroit,
who do I take?
No, well, I wouldn't take anybody. I'd fucking have I would be looking to move heaven and earth to get somebody to move up. Who wants to?
No, they would. I think Detroit would be happy taking Okudah at 3, or taking AJ Epinesa at 3, or taking the defensive tackle Brown. These guys don't operate like Gettleman, man. Somebody's on the phone giving you multiple first-round picks.
But how many teams? How many teams have traded up to get quarterbacks these past few years? I mean, it hasn't really been happening. Pretty much everybody went.
I mean, you're talking about a super prospect in Tua, right? You got
Mahomes,
teams behind you that need them.
for.
Carolina at 10 needs a quarterback. Miami has a ton of ammo. You're telling me you can't trade rate Miami to get them to make a deal if they were high on Tua? If you're Detroit, you wouldn't make that call? And there's a third team, too. San Diego. San Diego's another team that can use a quarterback.
I
think Tom Brady's going to San Diego.
I think we're overlooking this. Do you think he's gonna go? He would go that high?
That's what I'm trying to say.
This is his fourth injury.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to go top 5. He's a quarterback, man. Somebody's trading up for him. He'll make it through the combine. He'll make it through this.
There's so much to be determined. A lot of it will happen. We'll see how he rehabs. He could re-injure himself. There's a million things.
Burrow could injure himself at his pro day.
But I don't think he's going to get a hip replacement.
If he stays healthy and makes it through all that stuff, somebody's going to take him in the top. Somebody's taking him in the top of the draft. Mark it, book it. He's a quarterback, man.
How high?
I think he goes top 3. I wouldn't be surprised if he went as high. I don't think he goes 1. I think 1's locked up. Would I be surprised if somebody moved up to 2? If Miami moved up to 2 to get him? With all the
Here's the issue. Here's the issue. The issue is that the Redskins, in my opinion, even though it's not one of their top needs, all you're hearing about is Chase Young, highest graded pass rusher in the history of Pro Football Focus. All these things about him. They got a new head coach. They got a new regime in there. If they don't take Chase Young, I think there's going to be the first reaction, the first thing that happens with these new people is going to be the fans are mad at them. So I think there's like a 0% chance that Redskins trade out of that spot. Detroit would be it would have to be Detroit.
Yeah, I agree.
If somebody, I'm telling you, if Miami, Washington will listen to that phone call because they don't have idiots in charge. They don't have idiots. If they don't have idiots in charge anymore, and Miami's on the phone offering 3 first-round picks, when you assess your roster and realize the fact that you're picking second, and you have multiple needs all over your roster, you sit there and you consider 3 first-round picks hard.
I don't think
Miami
would not give 3
Miami
first-round picks for that.
These moves, if you're going to have to, you're going to have to give up a first, another first. They have 3 first, 5 in the next 3 years, and they're going to have to give up 1 in 2021. They're going to have to give up 1 next year.
3 first-round picks if they think Tua could look.
No, not for Tua, but maybe they would give up 2 for like Herbert or something like that. But I wouldn't do it for Tua.
There's another guy that's in it. There's Herbert. It could be Herbert that they're trading up for.
That's what
somebody
I'm
gets
trying
high
to say.
for.
But Miami's not going to give up 3 first-round picks just to grab one of those guys when they're sitting at 5. They can get one of those 2 guys anyway.
Right.
Well, if they want Burrow, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So if they want to move to 1.
Wait, what are they currently at? They're at 5, right?
They want to move to that. But you got to remember, if other teams are bidding, who has the most bullets in their gun? Like
Cincinnati is not giving up the number 1 pick.
I'm not talking about Cincinnati. I'm talking about
you just said Cincinnati.
No. I'm talking about if Burrow goes 1.
Switch it up.
Washington's sitting on the board at 2. You create a bidding war. Who has the most bullets to trade up?
Miami, because they have the most picks, huh?
Yeah, of course. I'm just
San Diego needs a quarterback. Miami needs a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback.
But just hear me out,
if teams are that high, they'll make the move.
Here's what I'm saying.
Why do you think Miami acquired all the picks?
To rebuild their team.
To go get their quarterback.
I just think when you're sitting at 5, when you know Burrow's going, okay, we don't know anything, but when Burrow's probably going number 1 and Chase Young's probably going number 2, and you know the Giants aren't trading back, you basically know you're guaranteed to get Tua or Herbert if you're sitting at 5. So I don't think there's maybe trading 2 first-round picks, but I don't think there's any way they're giving up 3 first-round picks to move up 1 or 2 spots.
You can't. If you're going into it, you have to. First of all, you can't assume that anybody's going to love anybody. But you can't say that there's 2 guys there. Usually there's 1 guy that you love. You're not sitting at 5 going, well, I'll take the guy that drops to me. Like this isn't fucking. It's not Madden where you're like, oh, I'll just fucking wait. Like that. Like no, if you're sitting there and you love the guy and you're convinced that that's your quarterback for the next 15 years, and you've done all your homework, the odds are that there's not two guys on your board that you're willing to make that move for. There's one. And if you're three or four spots away, if you're 3 or 4 spots away and you like the guy that much,
I don't think he's.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't think he's going to go that high, dude. I don't think he's going to go that high. We're talking about his ankle twice, a hip replacement, and then like a concussion issue too, right?
It was just out today that Detroit would strongly consider him by themselves at 3. That information is either put out there for 2 reasons. One, Detroit is very interested in him, or Detroit wants other people to think they're interested in him, so they're willing to move up. And Detroit's saying at 3.
There's another possibility.
If his medical come back okay, he's going to go high.
There's another possibility that Tua's camp out there and be like, oh, let's start some speculation that we're going to go really high this way.
No, because Detroit would have fucking came out and shat all over that. I mean, it was from a Detroit beat writer. It was legit, man. I mean, that shit. I mean, if they have interest in him, if somebody said they have interest in him, they're linking that information for 2 reasons.
Oh my God!
I think the information is probably the latter. It's probably that they want to create more interest in him than they have.
I mean, if he wasn't injured, he's a
I got to say though, we're getting way off the topic.
Yeah, no.
This is a Giants podcast, and we're not talking about the Giants who they're going to draft. We're talking about Tua and Miami and all this stuff. I think we're getting way far afield.
But that all affects the Giants. I mean, the more quarterbacks that go before them,
let me ask you this:
the more opportunity they have to.
What is your dream realistic scenario for the Giants draft?
I would trade back.
With who?
I would trade back. I don't know who I would trade. I would have the best offer that came along, but I would be open.
We were saying
I would
earlier,
be open to moving back.
I was saying earlier, I think something that if they were going to trade back that could potentially work would be Oakland, because Oakland's got a 12 and a 19, and they're looking for potentially a quarterback, and they could get ahead of Miami. And if the Giants got 12 and 19, you could take one of the top 3 offensive linemen potentially, and either a pass rusher, or a linebacker.
If somebody's looking to move up that far, if somebody's looking to get to 4, I want to pick next year.
So 2 first-rounders wouldn't be enough for you?
No. Fuck no. You're trading up for a franchise quarterback? Who you trading
I think
up
they would
for?
have to.
The odds are that Herbert's still on the board.
I think they would have to
fuck
tweak
you,
the
Gruden.
deal with
pay me.
Yeah, with a couple of 2s on that.
Yeah, I mean you
got
to
right, well,
give me more
fine.
than just 12 and 19. I want more. You're trading up for a franchise quarterback, handsome. Let's go 12, 19, and then I turn into the lady at the drive-through and dude, where's your car? And then and a 3rd round, and then first round next year, and then don't push it.
All right, so dream scenario then, but right. So if you got a 12 and a 19 and a 3rd this year for the Leonard Williams thing, that would be, you'd be cool with that?
With a pick next year. I want 4 picks.
Jesus. Just to move up 8
Go look at the deals that are done for the quarterbacks when teams are trading up to go get them.
All right.
What do they trade up? What do they?
I mean, you're not asking for too much. You don't want to give me a 1st next year, give me a 2nd next year. But I'm getting a pick next year. And if you don't want to give me a 3rd this year because of the 2nd next year, then give me a 4th this year. But I'm getting 4 fucking picks from you, Gruden. I'm getting 12, 19, either a 3rd this year and a 1st next year, or a 4th next year and a 2nd. I mean, come on, Gruden.
All right,
come on, Chucky. Pay up, you bastard. You want Herbert?
All right, gentlemen. I got work in the morning. This went way longer than I thought it was going to go. Actually,